you're married.
I am?
No, wait. The individual that has gone through this, right? They're married, and how does the spouse become involved in this question of what? What am I going to do? Your thoughts?
Excellent question. I had a seminar about 3.5 years ago where I had every veteran talk about what was keeping them up at night, what was their anxiety. And one of them, in a very comical fashion, said, I'm worried that during my military career, my wife has been able to reach into that well, and there was always something there. It's interesting, if you're not military, you don't understand this concept, but you get paid every 2 weeks. You get leave 30 days out of the year. You got housing, you got medical, and when you're in it, you may complain about the delivery of those services. They're there for you. And so he was telling me, I'm concerned that when I get out, my wife will reach into that well and there'll be nothing there for her. So to answer that question from one of our viewers, your wife has to be an integral part of your transition. And if you haven't been paying attention, or if you're watching this and you're just listening in the background, I want you to really focus here. Because a lot of us, male and female, I don't care who you are, we forget to include our spouses in the transition process. We feel like we're the only ones going through it. And we're sitting at night on our computer doing all this stuff, waiting for the kids to go to bed, while the wife or the husband is doing their chores. We're here trying to figure out, what am I going to do? It's not just your problem. It's a family problem. And you have to look at your spouse and say, honey, I'm scared. What are you scared about? Once you open yourself up and you bare yourself naked in that figurative way, you will find out how strong you can become when you include your spouse. Remember we talked about the personal board of advisors? This is the time when, if you're asking the question, what about my wife? You need to include her in your personal board of advisors. You obviously need her because you need her advice. You need her as a soundboard, and you will find out how quickly you learn more about yourself from your wife. You notice that you can never tell if you snore until you ask your spouse.
Yeah.
And she'll tell you if you snore.
Oh, yeah.
And you say, oh, no, I don't snore.
Yeah.
Now, I know I don't snore. All right? I know I don't snore.
All right.
Yeah. Unless somebody tells me I do.
Unless you're one of the few lucky ones where you actually wake yourself up with your snore, right? Your head cocks back. You're like, oh.
That's called sleep apnea.
Yes, that's a problem. Yes.
So to the point, your wife will tell you, she can see you. Your husband will tell, he can see you struggling with the anxiety and the challenges that you keep burying yourself in. Look up, open your eyes, look at him, look at her, and let her in. You'd be surprised how effective your spouse's advice can be in your transition process. Because once you realize that you don't have to prove anything to him or her, that you don't have to be, earning twice as much, that all that she cares or he cares is, listen, as long as the family stays together, as long as we can have a quality of life versus a standard of living that meets our family priorities, I'm fine. I have a good friend of mine. He lives in Nebraska. Now, what's in Nebraska? I don't know.
I've driven through it once.
Tell you what, this guy is an amazing guy. He left the military. Did you say you just drove through it once?
Well, hey, it happens.
You broke my concentration there.
Yeah, you're welcome. So friend, Nebraska. And you said, what's in Nebraska?
Thank you. So Mike decided to go to Nebraska. We'll call him Mike because I just used that name already earlier. Yeah. Went to Nebraska with his wife to start a farm. What's in Nebraska? I don't know. Certainly not the top companies, but his priority was his family. We talked about job satisfaction, location, right, and salary. When he talked to his wife, I bet you that they decided together that location was more important to grow a family that is united versus being in the rat race and just go for the money. Nothing wrong with going for the money. But again, different composition, different rank, different structure, different services, all of this affects your decision as to how this happens. So to the point, your wife has to be involved. It really is critical that you end the show, go to your spouse and say, honey, Caesar told me I need to talk to you.
Yeah. Because as Vernon says in our live chat on YouTube, when we appreciate your comment, Vernon, it's a team.
Hoorah.
You're a team. When you've been on teams when you're in the military,
Hoorah.
and your family is a team. And so they have to be a part of that decision-making process.
And you know, in the when I talk about the quadrants,
yeah.
remember there's a family quadrant? You have to ask yourself, it's not just the wife. If you have teenage kids and they're in high school, decision to move is more critical than if you have little ones.
Yep.
They may also have an opinion as to how this transition goes. They're also going through the anxiety of not knowing what's going to happen. And if you spend all your time working on that computer, applying for jobs, making phone calls because you think that if you do that, you're going to impress them, you're wrong. They want to know that you're communicating with your family. Look up, open your eyes, and tell them, guys, here's what I'm doing. Remember, op order? Give them an op order. Update them. If you don't, you're wrong. You're very wrong. And that spouse and those kids are looking at you and thinking, what's mom doing? What's dad doing? Why is he so stressed out? We don't even know. Communicate with them, because back to the point when Lynn talked about PTSD, some have the PTSD type that makes them focus obsessively on something. And they're unable to understand that there is a group of people in the other room hoping that they can find out and hear, what's dad doing?
Yeah.
Just communicate. The rest will come. Communicate with your spouse, and if the kids are age appropriate, communicate with them too. Telling them what you're doing will help them understand where you're going.
That's right.
Next
Right.
question.
Great.